That's what happens when you have kids.
Senate will come to order. Senator from Rutland.
Yes, Mr. President. It seems only fitting and totally appropriate that one of our final acts has come to us from the senior senator from Windsor. We have another appointment. With that, I move that the rules be suspended to permit consideration of gubernatorial appointment not appearing in the Senate calendar, and that he be taken up together and without debate, and that he be confirmed by the Senate. The appointment would be of Thomas Nesbitt as a public member of the Plumbers Examining Board. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Rutland has moved that our rules be suspended in order to take up the confirmation of Thomas Nesbitt to the Plumbers Examining Board, pending entry on the notice calendar. Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. You have suspended your rules, and we will take up the confirmation of Thomas Nesbitt. Thomas Nesbitt has not been confirmed by that motion, so I will make another. Are you ready to confirm Thomas Nesbitt for a period of June 30, 2028, April 15, 2026 to June 30th, 2028? Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. And you have confirmed Thomas Nesbitt. Senior Senator from Chittenden. Yes, Senator from.
Mr. President, can I just take a point of personal privilege just for one moment? I would just like to recognize.
I think take is the word, Senator.
Mr. President, I'd like to recognize two green coats who are retiring from the Senate and from the legislature. And I would just like to recognize Dennis Miles and Mike Wader and thank them for their years of service to all of us and to this building and to the state of Vermont.
Here,
Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast.
Mr. President, at this time, I ask that we take up JRS 56.
We have a joint resolution to take up at this time, JRS 56, relating to a resolution for final adjournment offered by Senator Baruth of Chittenden. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that when the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives adjourn the respective houses sine die on the 29th or 30th day of May, 2026.
Now you've heard the reading of the resolution. Question is, shall the Senate adopt the resolution on its part? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you have adopted the resolution regarding final adjournment.
Mr. President, I move that the rules be suspended and our action on H 951, an act relating to appropriations for the support of government, be messaged to the House forthwith.
Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast has moved that our rules be suspended in order to message the actions taken on H 951, an act relating to making appropriations for the support of government, to the House forthwith. Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you have messaged our actions on the big bill. I believe there is one more motion. Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast.
Mr. President, I move pursuant to Joint Rule 15 that all bills passed by both of the houses be ordered delivered to the governor.
Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast has moved that pursuant to the joint rule, all bills passed by both the House be ordered delivered to the governor. Senator from Wyndham.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify, I believe there's a committee of conference for S-208.
Senator, I am informed that that bill is still in the House, and they have yet to take it up.
Mr. President, may I ask for a brief recess?
You may.
Thank you, and for the Democrats to go to this corner, please. Thank you. I'm taking
Senate will come back to order. We have a pending motion, which I will restate. Senator from Chittenden Southeast moved that pursuant to our joint rule that all bills passed by both houses be ordered delivered to the governor. Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have moved pursuant to the joint rule that all bills passed by both houses be ordered delivered to the governor. And Mr. Secretary, Senator from Chittenden Southeast.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate direct the Secretary to inform the House that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 56.
Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast has moved that the Senate direct the Secretary to inform the House that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 56. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and the Senate Secretary will inform the House. Senate may be at ease. Yes, Senate may be at ease while the message is delivered, but just a note on speeches, which will follow. There will be time for anyone to deliver short remarks. Once everyone excluding the minority leader, the majority leader, and the pro tem have spoken, then we'll finish with those three in that order. So, yes.
And then we get the governor.
And then we get the governor. So be at ease, but please remain near your seats.
At ease.
Senate Secretary informs me that now is a good time to start remarks or speeches. So feel free to take the floor if that is your intent. Senator from Windham.
Mr. President, my mother always told me it's never a good idea to speak or send an email when you're angry or disappointed, but I will just briefly say I'm very disappointed with what has happened to S208.
Senator, would you like to clarify?
No, actually.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fair enough. Senator from Windsor.
Today, we learned that the House Republicans, in an attempt to kill S208, refused to suspend the rules. I am appreciative of the members of this chamber who, while of a different party, understood that to suspend the rules at this time is not a matter of policy, but more a matter of kindness to those who have worked diligently on bills, and is profoundly disappointing, as the senator from Windham spoke, to have S208 die on the floor of the House and not even be sent for review for the Senate tonight. And I say that not only because it feels like a disingenuous move and not fair play, and that's not to impugn the motives, that's to call out a strategic decision made by a different political party. It's also disappointing because this body worked exceptionally hard on that bill. And to remind senators, S208 was a point of mutual agreement within this chamber because it banned federal and local agents from covering their faces, from hiding from our constituents while they detain them unlawfully. I am so personally hurt by this because it was barely a year ago that I watched Moza Madawi be taken by masked men in unmarked vehicles to a detainment, actually to the airport, where he was barely able to avoid being shipped to Louisiana by ICE. The fact that we could not tonight pass a bill that had universal agreement that it's unacceptable to hide your face when you are detaining someone. My local sheriff doesn't do that. My local police officers don't do that. And they were perfectly happy to have a mandate saying that they're not covering their faces, unless we had many exemptions to it, which could allow them to do their job properly. So to end this session on such a low note, for our constituents, this is something I will be talking about. This is something that I will be bringing up at doors. Because we agreed, whether or not you agree with the behavior of those detaining oftentimes lawful citizens, we at least agreed that we felt it was shameful enough to cover your face that we could not allow it in this state. So to not do that today at the end of this session is a profound breaking of trust for Vermonters. And I feel that we should be leaving here on a note of sadness as well as celebration for the other good work that we did. Thank you.
Senator from Chittenden Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. When I started this biennium, I was asked what my goals were, and unfortunately my goals had shifted some. They had become protecting the most vulnerable and the most marginalized. And while we should always be doing that, the gravity in this moment of doing so was felt very heavily to me. We worked diligently and hard to move forward legislation that would begin to protect people. People in my district, constituents of mine, are afraid to leave their homes. They're afraid to go to the hospital. They're afraid to take their children to school because of what is happening. And I am profoundly saddened that we did not take the time needed to protect them. Thank you.
Are there other announcements or remarks? Senator from Windsor.
Anything more on policy? Okay. I'm going to shift gears. Hi, everybody. Wow, we have a full house. Okay, after 22 years in the legislature, I have made the decision to retire. Serving Vermont and the people of the Windsor District, which I have the best district team on the planet, has been the honor of a lifetime. Thank you. Thank you. My heart is so full of gratitude. Gratitude for getting to know Vermont and its many glories so much better, and to appreciate the uniqueness of our different towns, villages, and counties, and more importantly, to appreciate how similar our values and needs are. They so outweigh our differences. Gratitude for being given the opportunity to grow my public service. My ancestors, I have to say, I think my ancestors would be very proud. Gratitude for the trust my constituents have placed in me to make the big decisions on their behalf. Gratitude for the many satisfactions of solving problems for Vermonters and for particular constituents. We all have this feeling. From flood recovery to reducing speed limits in towns to getting the right medical care for the incarcerated children of our constituents. From the small to the, it's just, that is such a gift to be able to pull the cog out of the spoke, out of the wheel when it's not turning for our constituents. That's a real gift that we can give them. Gratitude for the pleasure and satisfaction I feel in having helped pass so much important policy over 22 years which has in very real ways impacted Vermonters' lives. From marriage equality to education and tax policy to patients' choices at the end of life. This week, I had one of my closest friends take advantage of that. To reducing barriers to building more housing and to reducing the stigma and building support for our career and technical education workforce for the future. To the joy of working with all of you. It has been, on the whole, a joy. Not every moment, but on the whole. In the most functional legislature in the country and in the most beautiful state house in the country. But on that note, this is my hope for all of you. I would encourage all of you who will return to work intentionally to build the community so essential to maintaining the trust and respect that enables this functionality, all of which is essential to a vibrant democracy. Community doesn't just happen, you have to work on it. It's one of the things I'm proudest of bringing to this building for 22 years, building community. And I charge you all with taking that forward. But I am ready for a new adventure. Vermont is so full of opportunities and needs, all of which we see here. Every budget line is full of a need or an opportunity. And I am ready to focus on some of those, as you all know. Whether it's being a guardian ad litem or helping reestablish a culinary institute, I am ready for some new challenges. I have treasured my time in the legislature. Thank you all for the opportunity to serve with you. It's an honor and a privilege that I will never forget and always be appreciative of. My heart is so full. Thank you. Good team.
Are there any other remarks before we hear from our minority leader? Seeing none.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just a whole, list of thank yous, and I'm sure I'm going to miss out some people. So, Secretary Bloomer, your staff make this so much easier than it otherwise would be. So thank you so much. Jenny and Mike, same thing. Just to have a nice, quick conversation on the way in every morning makes this so much more enjoyable than it would otherwise be. And to everybody in the building or in the chairs right now, it's been a pleasure getting to know all of you and working with you and learning about where you're from and what your interests are. And I'm a better person for, having the opportunity to know all of you. Secretary, I don't know where you're, she's right behind me here. Ashley, you're a gem, and you make this place go, and your transparency and your honesty has been a real pleasure. So we are a unique group right here, and we are unique because three of us, at least, will not be coming back next year, and maybe others, but I hope not. I hope we all get to come back, other than those that want to leave voluntarily. So let me just go through those three. Chris Matos, Senator Matos. Little history. So Chris and I were in the House together for 7 years, and every committee and every seat I had on the floor, Chris Matos was always on my right, like right there. And it was kind of cool at first because I was like, wow, this is awesome. I get to sit next to somebody that's younger than I am. But then what I learned was like, I'm actually getting to sit next to the person that's maybe the smartest person in the room in every situation I've been in. And that was a real pleasure to be able to work with somebody like that. He will be greatly missed. I know he's got to head home and tend to a growing business and a growing family, but he's pretty young, and I'm hoping that someday we'll have him back here. Senator Clarkson, we also served in the House together, and I've never told you this, but so I'm in my 27th year working at an international boarding school, and the thing that I like personally and professionally about that job is that every morning we have a morning assembly, we have speakers, you get to hear from people, colleagues, students from all over the world, and community members on a variety of different topics and perspectives, and it's my favorite part of the day. And the thing I like the least about coming over to Montpelier is that for 18 weeks, this year 20, for 4 days, I am not able to attend that morning assembly. You, to some degree, fill that void for me. With your comments before and after the floor. Sometimes your comments on culture and arts and music is above my head, but that's okay. And I've really enjoyed, that helps me. It makes up for not being able to go to morning assembly every year. So thank you. Senator Baruth, I don't know how you do this, how you lead this group of very different people with different perspectives and different strengths. You do it with grace. My first 2 years in the House, I was in House Education, and Senator Baruth was the vice chair and then chair of Education during the, what I call the Act 46 and the Act 173 wars. And for some reason, whenever I found Senator Baruth, he would actually listen to me. And I have no idea why he would listen to me. I don't even know if anything that I said ever really made it anywhere. But he did listen, and maybe I had a little bit of influence there somewhere. And he didn't have to, for sure. And I definitely appreciate those conversations over the years. I would also just like to comment, I've seen a few people retire from the legislature during my 12 years, and oftentimes it goes very well. Sometimes it doesn't go very well when people have been in a place a long time and they retired. I would just comment that how graceful you have been and how distinguished you have been as you have moved into your retirement here, I think is something to, is a model. And so I thank you for that. And I don't want to talk too long, but thank you all. Stay in touch. Hopefully we'll see each other down the road, and have a great summer. Thank you.
Okay, my speech is similar, but with a little more pizzazz. That's just to say it's long, and I'm sorry. Fellow senators, colleagues, friends, though we have said this before and might say it again, this may have been one of the hardest ends to a legislative session that any of us can remember. And yet, it has also been a session where courage, conviction, and passion shone through the brightest. As difficult as these months have been, they reminded me of something important. Our constituents do not get to turn away from the hard parts of their jobs. They do not get to skip the difficult conversation, the unexpected crisis, or the challenge they never saw coming. And neither do we. Nearly 2 years ago now, after the difficult birth of my son, Wesley, my doctor who delivered both of my kids sat down with me and said, "That was a 1 in 1,000 event. I've never had to deal with that before." What stayed with me was not the statistic or how grateful I was. She told me this 6 weeks after the birth, and how grave that night was for all of us. It was the realization that she did not get to choose what or who was in front of her that night. She only got to choose how she responded. Her job was clear, even if not easy. Keep a person intact. That clarity matters most in dangerous, uncertain times. We do not get to choose the economy we inherit, the national climate we operate in, the crises that emerge, or the divisions that arrive at our doorstep. We only get to choose how we show up. And throughout this biennium, I have watched all of you show up.
This year, 3 senators have announced their retirement. That's nearly 10% of this body, I think we said the same thing, and an outsized share of its talent, wisdom, and heart. And I think I've been feeling particularly nostalgic today because Senator Clarkson came in 2 years before me. Senator Baruth came in 2 years after me, though I then had a gap. So I'd officially like to be considered old now that the two of you are retiring. To Senator Matos, I think it's fair to say that people on all sides of the aisle in this chamber are genuinely bummed to see you go. That is a harder feat than some might think. You bring a level of calm and cool that most of us can only aspire to or don't even try to aspire to. Your steady presence has added so much to this institution, and we, your colleagues, have benefited from it every day. To Senator Clarkson, I'm trying not to cry. My Woodstock mom, a friend so like family that no one dares get in the middle of our fights. I know this is not goodbye. Your endless warmth and zest for life calls like a beacon wherever you are. I will be there, and I can almost taste the strong cup of tea now. Some have heard me tell my favorite story about Allison, the one that made it all make sense. We were out to dinner when I was a new legislator, and you were telling us you had taken an old-fashioned aptitude test to see what you should do with your life. Well, the aptitude test said that you should be a general. I would like to track down this exact aptitude test because it is prophetic. You are someone people want beside them when the battle begins and who will stay by their side unfailingly. There is no one I could have switched roles with that would have resulted in more growth and more collaborative success. And it capped off a decade of conspiring in this building that I will treasure and miss. And to our fearless Senate President, well, perhaps a little fearful of strong women, but the literal model of a girl dad that always knows when to be protective and when to find a teachable moment. The most important thing I ever learned about you had nothing and everything to do with politics. And this might explain some things about where Senator Baruth, or Senate President, comes from. It was in a casual conversation when I learned that you grew up on a farm and a dog kennel. Suddenly, a lot of things made sense. You were raised with dogs. Loyalty, friendship, and showing up for people are hallmarks of your leadership. And this institution will never be the same because of it. I also want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to serve as your majority leader. It has been one of the greatest honors of my life. And if I'm being honest, I feel like I was just starting to get good at it today. But leadership has a way of humbling you. This is a unique moment in our country's history to do the work we do. I think it's safe to say we are in a once-in-a-generation shifting of political parties and coalitions layered on top of an evolving world order. We like to think we are helping shape those changes. Most days, it feels more like trying to keep things from changing shape quite so quickly. I think a lot of public servants are taking a good hard look in the mirror right now, asking whether we're still doing this work in a way that earns people's trust, asking whether we're listening as much as we're talking, asking whether we're solving problems or just arguing about them, asking what it means to represent people who are anxious, hopeful, skeptical, and exhausted all at the same time. Those are hard questions, but they're the right questions. Much as we've tried not to let party politics seep into every corner of our work, it cannot be ignored in a moment like this. Many of our constituents are asking fundamental questions. Which party is looking out for me? Where do I belong? How do I make a difference? Who do I believe? I think all of us, in our own ways, are searching for those answers. But here's what I do know. When we return to our districts, we should be fighting for the privilege of being the person our constituents trust when those questions arise. We should be earning the right to serve, not through slogans, not through social media, not through partisan advantage, but through trust, honesty, competence, and conviction. That is what Vermonters want from us, and they deserve no less. As we leave this biennium, we do so at a profound time of uncertainty. Many Vermonters worry about affordability. The world feels unstable. Democratic institutions that once seemed permanent feel more fragile than many of us have imagined in our lifetimes. In moments like these, I have a simple request. Stay in touch with your constituents. Talk to people you disagree with. Visit districts that are not your own. Oh my God, I have a whole page of thank yous. I'm sorry. Seek out mentors from past legislatures. They will probably tell you that everything old is new again, and they will most certainly be right. But they may also remind you that once you see the long arc of the consequences of your decisions, both good and bad, you tread more lightly in this building. You become more humble, and you begin to count your successes not only by what passes, but also by what does not. Vermonters sent us here to solve problems. They asked us to work together. And if there's one lesson I hope we carry forward, it is that disagreement does not have to mean division. Before I close, I want to thank the people who make this institution work. Senate Secretary John Bloomer, Melissa Gradell, Aaron Pedley, Andrea Hussey, and Penny Carpenter. There's almost no words, but every day I get a wrinkle in my brain with what you teach me and us. And I know that you're starting to see that there are a lot of partisan politics creeping in as well and trying to keep them at bay. And that really means a lot for us and for this institution. Our Legislative Council and Joint Fiscal Office, whose work this biennium was nothing short of heroic. You and all of the staff in this building work long hours and make democracy run seamlessly here. Refining language, running numbers, preparing calendars, solving problems before most of us even knew they existed. We may go home and read about what people think of our work, good and bad, but the very best parts of what we achieved belong to you as well. The Capitol Police, who have kept us safer than we wish we needed to be. Our custodial staff, who have cleaned up kindly and lovingly after my children. I'm going to blame my children. The cafeteria staff, who have patiently dealt with my indecisiveness about what to eat long after pregnancy stopped being a valid excuse. And our doorkeepers. Oh, good, they're here. Denny Miles, Michael Wader, James Thornton, Jackie Folsom, and everyone else who has welcomed us into this chamber every day without fail. You have helped us pursue something that is always harder than it looks: compassionate, humble, and fiscally responsible governance. Denny, as you retire, please know how much you will be missed. Oh, good, he's still here. Yours was never just a job at the door. You greeted every one of us with a kindness that was grounding and warming in a building that can sometimes, all the time, feel rushed, tense, and heavy. Your presence reminded us to slow down and treat one another with grace. You have a true servant's heart. At the end of a difficult session, that is what I'm most grateful for. Not that we agreed on everything, not that we got everything right, but we kept showing up and we kept trying. Travel safely, rest well, spend time with the people you love, and when the next difficult chapter arrives, as it inevitably will, I know this Senate will once again do what Vermonters expect of it. Show up, do the work, and keep the people we serve intact. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few remarks. My fellow senators, I never expected to finish my career as lieutenant governor, but now I have. Thanks to my friend, Lieutenant Governor Rogers, for the podium today. It is a wonderful way to look over the chamber and consider the course of the last 16 years. I was sworn in January of 2011, partially on the strength of my campaign slogan, "It's time to speak Baruth to power." My family was in the chamber, and my youngest, Miranda, was just 5 years old then. At a certain point during the long swearing in, which you all remember, she disappeared from that green settee right there, which led to a moment of complete panic until I spotted her crawling underneath the settee and she gave me a tiny little thumbs up. Miranda is going on 22 now, senators, and like her sister Gwendolyn, she is attending a very expensive school whose initials are not UVM. But while my financial situation has always been precarious, I can't tell you how unimaginably rich I have felt ever since I entered this building. You all know the same feeling, I'm sure, when you walk up the lawn to this building. The day after my election in 2010, I began receiving mail addressed to the Honorable Philip Baruth. My otherwise scratch and dent life had suddenly been dignified, made honorable. Suddenly, I was driving to Montpelier every day of the session to work in what is inarguably the most gorgeous office building in the great state of Vermont, a museum-quality environment with its own very much full-time curator, making sure that every inch of the place remains not just spotless, but historically accurate. Suddenly, I was honorable, and I had the ear and the time of the state's finest legal staff. Not just one lawyer, but a team of lawyers with intricate specialties. And it quickly became clear that if I needed them, they would help me not only for free, but almost immediately, a gift available to every senator every single day of their term. And not just high-powered lawyers, but gifted accountants and fiscal analysts. And add to that the best minds among the lobbying and nonprofit communities, folks who have become my best friends since I came here. All of that added together, I was suddenly loaded for bear. I hadn't been here long enough to know where the bear were yet, but I knew immediately that I had the best and the brightest at my back. There was then, and there always will be, a team of trained professionals that work every single minute of every single day to keep all of us safe in this chamber. The Capitol Police, of course, now fully staffed, but also our indefatigable Sergeant at Arms, who has made it her mission to secure this building and shield the people in her charge. When we come into this chamber, our green-coated doorkeepers do many things for us, from taking notes, giving advice, etc. But make no mistake, they are our last line of defense, and I have seen them shoot those locks on the bottom of those doors more than once. And that has been a great comfort to me. Thank you again, folks in the green coats. And our Senate staff ran and runs now like a Swiss watch. They stay late and work into the night so that when we enter the chamber in the morning, the calendar and the journal are waiting, complete, correct, and ready for action. God love them for that diligence, that care for the people's business, that care for you and me. And my Senate colleagues, not just fine people, but exceptionally fine people, and let me explain what I mean. It's a certain kind of person that winds up in the Senate or any other elected office. On average, those people are more agreeable than average, more likable than average, and more persuasive than average. They may have failings in other ways, and I'm sure we all do. But we are here because we are friendly folks, and we give people the impression that we will do their business and not get a big head in the process. If you were designing a group of people to be your colleagues for the better part of 2 decades, people you find it very painful to walk away from one day, it would be exactly the sort of people in this chamber. I treasure my friendship with every one of you. In great part, party has not mattered since I've been here. 3 parties are represented in this chamber. I go by 2 of them, and I can say categorically, I have never been betrayed by the folks in this chamber, regardless of party. How unbelievably rich all of that has made me feel. But there's more. It turned out that the Senate Secretary was the most knowledgeable authority on the rules, procedures, and history of the Vermont Senate in the entire world. And he spent a lot of his time in the afternoons sitting where he is right now at the computer in front of me. And if I slid out of committee at just the right moment, he was more than willing to tutor me one-on-one for free in all of the above. Even better, I could go to him at any time of day, pretty much day or night, and say, please tell me how to accomplish X. And he would immediately say, depends what you want to do. My conversations with the Secretary have been one of the great joys of my life and I can't even properly express how grateful I am for his friendship. And then I became President Pro Tem, and I was immediately offered the only other thing I'd been missing: a chief of staff, a strategic partner, a partner in legislative crime. I've discussed every single decision I've made for the last 4 years as Pro Tem with Ashley Moore, but for one, and that was my decision to retire. And I only kept that to myself because I knew if she argued with me, I would stay, because she would be right, as she always is. I've said it before and I'll say it again. On my grave, there will be 3 words representing my greatest achievement in life, and that phrase will be, he hired Ashley. She is a brilliant strategic thinker and a deeply sympathetic human being. And I am rich beyond measure for having enjoyed this partnership with her. So come January, I will be leaving you and returning to teaching and writing. The spell at that point will be broken, and I will be much, much poorer for the change. If I need a lawyer, I will have to pay the going rate, and so I will never hire a lawyer. My own finances will immediately go to hell in a handbasket, but I will not be broke. For example, I have found a lovely woman who forgives all of my faults. My Upper Valley girl, Brooke. And I plan to bring a puppy into the picture right about the time you are all taking your seats in January. I'll close by saying I love you all more than I can say. It will hurt not to find my seat when the bell rings next session. But even Frodo Baggins, and you know that the Lord of the Rings means everything to me, even Frodo Baggins knew when it was time to follow Bilbo to the Grey Havens. That time has come for me, and I will watch the great things you all accomplish here in the years to come with profound satisfaction. I will be your greatest cheerleader because I owe so much to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. With that, Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that we have just been given the gift of your words, and we are sadly, fondly, and joyously thanking you for your work in this building, in this room, and for your next stages of your life. So thank you for your words. Mr. President, I move that we appoint a committee of 4 senators to inform the governor that the Senate has, now I don't know to say sadly or joyously, completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 56.
The senator from Chittenden Southeast has moved that the president appoint a committee of 4 senators to inform the governor that the Senate has completed the business of the session and is ready to adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 56. Are you ready for that question? If so, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and you have appointed a committee to inform the governor. The members of that committee will be Senators Clarkson, Matos, Rahm Hinsdale, and Beck. If you would please assemble in the well and proceed to the governor. Senate may stand at ease. Senate will come to order.
Mr. President, would the members of the Senate please rise? It is my distinct privilege to present to you the Governor of Vermont, the Honorable Philip B. Scott.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back here in the chamber. Very nice. But since I'm the only thing standing between you and going home, I'm going to try and make this fairly brief. As this session comes to a close, I want to begin by thanking all of you, the legislative staff, my team, and all Vermonters who came to the state to share their views about life in Vermont. But I especially want to thank Senator Baruth, whom I've had the opportunity to work with for quite some time now. He was first elected, as you know, to the Senate when I was first elected as Lieutenant Governor. And I presided over this chamber for 6 years while he served. I was always impressed with his thoughtfulness and his preparation before speaking on any bill. He was genuine, and you could always tell he was advocating for what he truly, truly believed in. And since he's been pro tem, despite our differences, over the last couple of years, we've built a very respectful working relationship that I believe has served Vermonters well. So Senator Baruth, thank you for your service to the Senate. I appreciate the camaraderie and the laughs we had even on a biweekly basis. So thank you for your service. The work each of you does in this chamber, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on, isn't easy, but it's important and appreciated. I want to thank you for that. And while we haven't always agreed on every issue this year, I believe Vermont is best served when different perspectives are at the table and the voices of the minority party are heard. Because if we want to get things done, we need to listen to each other. Vermonters sent a clear message in the last election. They want policies grounded in affordability, practicality, and common sense. They want to be included in the conversation, especially those from rural Vermont and the towns and cities where they feel like they've been left behind. And they want government that listens to the concerns of working families, retirees, small businesses, and communities struggling with rising costs. That additional balance and collaboration matters a lot, and it mattered this session. And both are important and an example of how government can work when very different opinions and very different voices come together to listen and learn with respect and civility. I'll use education reform as an example. For years, many avoided difficult conversations about the long-term sustainability of our education system. This biennium, we finally began having those conversations honestly. But for too long, these challenges and many others were treated as temporary problems that could be managed year after year by simply throwing more money at them. But structural problems require structural solutions. Now, I didn't get everything I wanted, and neither did you. But that's the way compromise works. And we made progress and agreed the status quo is not sustainable. On a variety of issues, we moved the conversation from inaction towards change. And that matters. Because as I travel across the state, this is what I typically hear from everyday Vermonters. They want to feel safe in their communities. They want good schools. They want to have access to affordable health care. They want to be able to pay their rent or mortgage, make their car payment, have food for the family, put fuel in the furnace, and have a little left over to provide for their kids. And they want to know they can still afford to live in the state they love. Those are the challenges we all face. And while we've made progress over the last 2 years, they won't go away with the fall of the gavel. So they must remain our collective focus as we move forward. But even with all the headwinds, I'm optimistic about our future because I believe Vermonters are practical and independent people who recognize the difference between the partisan politics we see in Washington and the work we need to do here at home. And how we do it and how we treat each other still matters to them, and it certainly does to me. So again, thank you for your work this session and for your service to the people of Vermont. We should be proud of all the things we actually did accomplish, and I look forward to making more progress in the years ahead. And I truly hope you enjoy your summer. It's well deserved. So thank you.
Can the honor guard please reassemble?
Look in the bill.
Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast, I believe you have one more duty.
Do I wait for them to return?
Yes. Thank you. So be at ease just briefly. Senate will come to order. Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast.
I wish I could do this in the fashion of the senior senator from Windsor. Mr. President. I move that the Senate do now adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 56. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senior Senator from Chittenden Southeast has moved that the Senate do now adjourn sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 56. Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
If so, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the Senate is now in adjournment sine die pursuant to the provisions of JRS 56.